The German submarine U-853, a Type 9 C-40 U-boat of Nazi Germany's Kriegsmarine in World War II, was laid down on August 21, 1942, by Deschi Mag A.G. Weser in Bremen. She entered service on the 25th of June 1943 under the command of Kapitänleutnant Helmut Sommer. The German Type 9 C-40 submarines were slightly larger than the earlier Type 9Cs. U-853 had a surface displacement of 1,144 tons and 1,257 tons when submerged. She measured 251 feet 10 inches in total length, with a pressure hull length of 192 feet 9 inches, a beam of 22 feet 6 inches, a height of 31 feet 6 inches, and a draft of 15 feet 4 inches. Her propulsion system consisted of two MAN M9 V46 supercharged 4-stroke, 9-cylinder diesel engines generating 4,400 metric horsepower for surface travel, and two Siemens Schuckert 2GU 345-34 double-acting electric motors providing 1,000 shaft horsepower for submerged operation. She featured two shafts with 6-foot propellers and was rated for depths of up to 750 feet. The submarine had a top surface speed of 18.3 knots and a submerged speed of up to 7.3 knots. While submerged, she could travel 63 nautical miles at 4 knots, and when surfaced, she had a range of 13,850 nautical miles at speed of knots, 10 knots. U-853 was armed with 6 21-inch torpedo tubes, 4 at the bow and 2 at the stern, carrying 22 torpedoes. She also featured a 10.5 centimeter SKC 32 naval gun with 180 rounds, a 3.7 centimeter SKC 30, and a 2 centimeter C-30 anti-aircraft gun. The crew complement was 48. The Germans called the U-boat Der Seiltänzer, or the tightrope walker, and her crew adorned her sail with an emblem featuring a yellow shield and a red horse. During her first war patrol from May to June 10, 1944, U-853 operated under Kapitänleutnant Helmut Sommer on a weather-watching mission. German intelligence believed Atlantic weather patterns could help predict the timing of an Allied invasion of Europe. On May 25, 1944, U-853 spotted RMS Queen Mary, carrying American troops and supplies. The U-boat attempted an attack but was outpaced by the much larger and faster vessel. As she surfaced in Queen Mary's wake, U-853 was engaged by Fairey Swordfish aircraft from British merchant aircraft carriers MV Ancillus and MV Empire McKendrick. Though undamaged, the U-boat returned fire, hitting all 3 planes. The aircraft managed to return to their carrier, but one was deemed beyond repair and jettisoned. The escort carrier USS Croatan had been hunting German weatherboats for nearly a month, having already sunk U-488 and U-490. Intercepted radio transmissions directed Croatan and 6 destroyers to search for U-853. The elusive U-boat proved so difficult to locate that Croatan's crew nicknamed her Moby Dick. After 10 days of pursuit, on June 17th, HFDF, HFDF, high-frequency direction finding, detected a weather report from U-853 just 30 nautical miles away. Within minutes, 2 FM-1 Wildcat fighters strafed the submarine, killing 2 crewmen and wounding 12 others. Despite suffering 28 shrapnel and bullet wounds, Sommer managed to give the order to dive, likely saving his submarine from destruction by Allied bombers. The relentless pursuit from May 25th to June 17th took a heavy toll on U-853's crew. On June 18th, 23-year-old Oberleutnant zur See Helmut Fromsdorf assumed command, marking his first assignment as captain, and navigated the U-boat back to Lorient, northwest France. Sommer, along with a significant portion of the crew, was deemed unfit for duty. On July 10th, Sommer was officially relieved by Oberleutnant zur See Otto Wermuth. The boat remained in port until August 27th, when decorated veteran Korvettenkapitän Günther Kuhnke, commander of the 10th U-boat flotilla, took charge for her second patrol. This time, U-853 operated in the western approaches off the British Isles but failed to score any successes over 7 weeks. Instead of returning to Lorient, she proceeded to Flensburg, Germany, arriving on October 14th. Upon arrival, Kuhnke took command of the 33rd U-boat flotilla and handed U-853 back to Fremsdorf for her third and final patrol. Before departure, U-853 was equipped with a Schnorchel, a retractable air intake and exhaust system that allowed her to run diesel engines while submerged, reducing the need for risky surfacing to recharge batteries. On February 23, 1945, Germany deployed U-853 on her third war patrol to disrupt U.S. coastal shipping. Commanded by Oberleutnant zur See Helmut Fremsdorf, the U-boat failed to sink any targets in the early weeks of her mission. Her Atlantic crossing was slow as she relied on her Schnorchel to stay submerged and evade Allied aircraft. On April 1, 1945, U-853 received orders to proceed to the Gulf of Maine. On April 23, U-853 torpedoed and sank USS Eagle 56 near Portland, Maine. The World War I-era patrol boat was towing targets for a U.S. Navy dive bomber training exercise 3 nautical miles off Cape Elizabeth when she exploded amidships and went down. Only 13 of her 67 crew members survived. Later that day, USS Selfridge dropped 9 depth charges on a suspected submarine. The following day, USS Muskegon made sonar contact with U-853 and launched an attack but failed to destroy her. Although several survivors reported seeing a submarine bearing yellow and red insignia, a Navy inquiry initially attributed the sinking of PE-56 to a boiler explosion. However, in 2001, the Navy re-evaluated the incident and officially recognized that the vessel had been lost due to enemy action. As a result, the survivors and the families of the deceased were awarded Purple Hearts, acknowledging their sacrifice in what was ultimately confirmed as a wartime attack. On May 5, 1945, Reichspräsident Karl Dönitz ordered all U-boats to cease offensive operations and return to base. At the time, U-853 was lying in wait off Point Judith, Rhode Island. According to the U.S. Coast Guard, she either failed to receive the order or, less likely, chose to ignore it. Shortly after, she torpedoed Black Point, a 368-foot collier en route from New York to Boston, blowing off her stern. Within 15 minutes, Black Point sank in 100 feet of water, less than 4 nautical miles south of Point Judith. She was the last U.S.-flagged merchant ship lost in the Second World War. 12 men perished while 34 crew members were rescued. A massive cloud of black smoke rose from the wreck as the Yugoslav freighter SS Cayman sent out a distress call. Captain Pryor, master of Black Point, recounted the moment of impact. "I took out my cigarette about to light it, but whether I ever did, I couldn't tell you. Maybe I swallowed the damn thing because that's when it hit the fan. Hell, everything did. The clock flew off the bulkhead, the barometer crashed down, windows shattered, and the pilot house doors blew open. Instantly, you could smell crude oil. The whole stern was gone. The boys slid down onto the raft, and I wasn't far behind them." Within an hour, U.S. warships arrived at the scene. The destroyer escort USS Atherton, with its superior sonar team, took the lead, followed by the Coast Guard frigate Mowbray. The destroyer escort Erickson arrived an hour later. At 8:14 p.m., Atherton detected a slow-moving sonar contact heading 90 degrees. By 8:29 p.m., it dropped 13 magnetic depth charges. A second attack followed using hedgehogs, but contact was lost. At 11:33 p.m., sonar reacquired the target. U-853 had moved 4,000 yards, likely seeking deeper water. At 11:37 p.m., Atherton launched another Hedgehog attack, and this time oil and debris erupted from the sea. There was little hope for U-853. Trapped in shallow water, she had nowhere to hide. All three destroyers joined the assault, while two dirigibles from Lakehurst, New Jersey, also attacked the crippled submarine. At 10:45 a.m., the barrage ceased when the captain's hat surfaced. The Battle of Point Judith had ended. Fromsdorf and his crew were lost. Hard-hat divers from the Navy salvage ship USS Penguin, specialized in submarine rescue, arrived at the scene. They attempted to search U-853, but the crew's bodies blocked the escape hatch. With tons of unexploded ordnance scattered around, the site was deemed too dangerous for further dives. The divers had hoped to recover the logbook, but it was never found. The question of why Fromsdorf attacked the aging Black Point when he must have known the war was ending remains unanswered. His actions defied direct orders from Admiral Dönitz, who had commanded on May 4th, "All U-boats, attention all U-boats, cease fire at once, stop all hostile action against Allied shipping." Did Fromsdorf ever receive the order? Evidence suggests U-853's radio was operational. Reports also claim he surfaced after the attack, just as he allegedly did after sinking Eagle Boat 56. Why did U-853 surface after each strike? Why attack in just 130 feet of water, where detection from the air was easy? Dönitz had ordered U-boats to attack only in depths of at least 200 feet, another command Fromsdorf ignored. And if, as reported, she surfaced after the attack, why did she linger instead of fleeing? At 18 knots on the surface, she could have been over 20 miles out to sea before the U.S. ships arrived. It just doesn't add up. Hans Gerber, a former U-505 crewman, once said he believed Fromsdorf was young and ambitious, risking his crew's lives for personal glory. He had a sore throat, meaning he wanted an Iron Cross. "If I were Fromsdorf, I'd have sailed into Block Island, bought a round at the bar, and toasted the war's end." Instead, he doomed his men. For what? Before his final patrol, former Captain Helmut Sommer told him, "They are all good boys. Bring them home." Yet here they remain off Block Island, resting in 130 feet of water, still waiting to go home. The attack on Black Point remains one of the most puzzling and controversial acts of the final days of World War II. Whether U-853's commander acted out of ignorance, defiance, or desperation, his decision resulted in the destruction of his boat and the deaths of his entire crew. U-853's sinking on May 6, 1945 marked the last U-boat to be destroyed in U.S. waters and serves as a tragic reminder of the chaotic final moments of Nazi Germany's war effort.